All right, let's dive in. Today, we're getting into a really fascinating and honestly pretty provocative piece by Guy Gambit called The Social Tactician. It explores what he calls game, which is the conscious study and use of social dynamics, specifically for romantic purposes. And it all starts with a very clear, almost secretive command.
Yeah, just like in Fight Club, the very first rule is about silence, total and complete discretion. But why? Why is this so incredibly critical? Well, to really get the weight behind this rule, the author kicks things off with a story about what happens when this rule gets broken. And let me tell you, it's a disaster.
So, picture this. We're in Saigon, back in 2019. The author, who by this point has spent years mastering these social strategies in every place you can imagine, from loud nightclubs to quiet art museums, he'd started mentoring other guys in the craft. He connects online with this really eager young student, a 23-year-old who goes by Samil. Samil decides he's going to fly out to Saigon, and the author, seeing that this kid is sincere about wanting to improve, agrees to meet up and show him the ropes.
And we're not talking about a couple of friendly tips here. No, the author sends him his complete, ultimate Saigon game cheat sheet. This was a document built from hundreds of real-life experiences, the best spots, the perfect times to be there, even field-tested opening lines. He basically handed over the keys to the entire city. So, Samil arrives, totally hyped to put it all into practice. A day goes by, then another, and then the phone rings. It's Samil calling to report back on how his first couple of days went.
And this is the exact moment the train goes completely off the rails. Samil is all excited, explaining that he used the cheat sheet and it worked. So far so good, right? But then, he drops the bomb. He admits that he actually showed the cheat sheet to the woman he met. He asked for her opinion on the openers, on the tactics. I mean, he didn't just pull back the curtain, he ripped it down and showed her exactly how the magic trick was done. For the author, that was it. That was his immediate thought. The fact that Samil was successful didn't even matter anymore. His actions proved he had a profound, fundamental misunderstanding of the whole thing. So you see, this story isn't just a warning, it's the entire foundation for why the rule exists in the first place.
Okay, so that story really sets the stage perfectly for the formal rule itself, and who, specifically, you're supposed to keep this stuff from. And this isn't just a general guideline, you know? The author lays out a really precise protocol for who's in the circle of trust and who is definitely out.
So the rule is absolute and non-negotiable for one group: women you are romantically interested in. Period. No exceptions. But it's also strongly recommended you avoid the topic with pretty much all other women. With men, the author calls blue-pilled, meaning guys who are just totally unaware of these social dynamics, married men, and, this is a big one, anyone who hasn't directly asked you for advice. And that leads us to the absolute core of this whole thing. Why? Why is this rule so ironclad when it comes to potential partners? Well, the author boils it down to three powerful psychological reasons. It really comes down to these three pillars. 1, she despises it. 2, she doesn't understand it. And 3, she can't face the underlying reality of it all. Let's break each of those down. Okay, first up, she despises it. According to the author, a woman's ability to accurately size up a man is a deeply ingrained evolutionary driver. The fear of being tricked by someone who isn't what he appears to be is profound. So when you reveal the game, you're essentially admitting the authentic connection she thought she felt was engineered. It short-circuits her internal algorithm, and boom, attraction is gone. Instantly.
The second reason is that she might not even understand it, simply because her fundamental strategy is completely different. The author argues that men have to be proactive. They have to approach, they initiate, they display value. Women, on the other hand, are selective. They choose from the options presented to them. Their role is largely responsive.
And the author uses this brilliant analogy to capture the difference in complexity. Women are playing chess in their assessment. Men are playing checkers. I mean, that really paints a picture, doesn't it? The idea is that because a man's evaluation can be simpler, he might not grasp the incredibly nuanced, multi-layered analysis a woman is performing.
Her assessment is looking at everything: status, behavior, social proof, and yes, game. And since her own selection strategy doesn't require her to be proactive in that same way, the entire concept of studying it can seem foreign, unnecessary, or even worse, manipulative from her point of view.
And this third reason, while this one might be the most uncomfortable of all, the truth is every man uses some form of game. From a 7-year-old on the playground offering a girl his potato chips, it's all a strategy to attract a woman. To admit that game is a learnable skill is to admit that every romantic interaction she has ever had was, on some level, the result of a man's strategy. And that, the author argues, is a reality she would much rather not confront.
Now, this logic of discretion goes way beyond just potential partners. It's also about protecting your social standing among a much wider circle of people.
I mean, it really boils down to this. When you discuss this stuff with people who aren't actively looking for the knowledge, you are taking on a massive reputational risk for absolutely zero reward. You have everything to lose and nothing to gain.
Offering this kind of information when it hasn't been requested is the textbook definition of unsolicited advice. To a married friend, or to someone with just a different worldview, it can come across as arrogant, or maybe even predatory, and you risk damaging really valuable relationships.
And that brings us to the author's final, more philosophical point on the nature of teaching and learning this craft. It isn't about gatekeeping, it's about readiness.
He leans on that ancient proverb. That's the whole guiding principle right there. You cannot force this knowledge onto someone. The desire to learn, to improve, that has to come from within them first.
And until that moment arrives, silence isn't just a rule, it's a sign of respect for their journey. It's an understanding that protecting the knowledge is just as important as sharing it with the right person at the right time.
And that's where we'll leave it. The ultimate takeaway is that this wisdom is available, but only to those who actively seek it. According to this work, the first step isn't to learn the techniques, but to learn when to stay silent.